Hello everyone. Thank goodness. I had some real technical difficulties getting this online for some reason. I still don't quite understand why. Streamlabs just did not want to work with me today. But I've fixed it. We should be all good to go. How is everyone out there? I'm doing pretty well since the semester ended. I've got to be in town tomorrow for a doctor's appointment at 8:30, which I'm not excited about, but you know, it is what it is. All right, well, for the beginning part of the stream, let's get some work done. And then I want to do a bit of gaming. I found some pretty cool, I think, games that I want to play on stream. Hello, how are you? You haven't been here in a while. How have you been doing? Okay. I think I'm gonna start leaving my mic on during work time. Just with the noise gate up pretty high, so that you guys don't hear me every time I move my chair or scratch my face or whatever. Hello, Dorito. How are you? I am doing pretty well. I'm thankful I figured out kind of what was going on with Streamlabs. It did not want to stream to my Twitch channel. I don't know. But it's online, and I'm online on Twitch, which is good. It is no use for me to be online to myself, streaming to myself. So I'm doing pretty well. You're doing fine. That's good. That's good. That is excellent. All right, let me see if I can get some of my work up and done. So I have, what games did I have? I have a Scary Game or two. I found this one that I think looks really cute. It's a, you play as a spider running around in the forest, and you're essentially being Spider-Man, but just like an actual spider. And you're doing tasks for people, and it's super cute. So I also kind of want to see how that plays out on stream. I'm very excited. Hello, how are you? Good to see you again. What time is it in Turkey? And have you gotten your sleep schedule in line yet? Probably not. Because you're here. Okay, making sure I can see chat. Perfect. I'm doing pretty well. I'm not excited for have to be in the city. I'll have to be in the city tomorrow at 8:30 for a doctor's appointment. And being a student, I'm not used to that kind of time frame. So not looking forward to that, but is what it is. Need to go to the doctor just so he can tell me everything's fine, and then I can go back home. You didn't sleep? I'm sorry. What started all of this? Do you remember? Like, did you have something that you had to do late at night that sort of threw you off, or what happened with that? Well, I hope there is some restful sleep in your future. I see that didn't quite pan out like you hoped. Which I'm sorry about that. You slept well on New Year's Eve? Well, at least that's something. I know sometimes when, like everyone else, when you don't get enough sleep, you just cannot function. So at least you have that one in your tank. That one good sleep. You're wondering if you can be a vampire. Probably. So make sure you get, like, some sunlight. Maybe you might want to try getting outside some, at least when the sun is still up. Just to get a little bit of sunlight, that might help. Plus, I know from having been vampire adjacent in the past, getting some of that blue light from outside and some sunlight into your eyeballs really, really helps with keeping you sane, definitely, at least during quarantine. You can only get out in the evening. Yeah, that sounds about right. Well, it's better than nothing for sure. Yeah, it's definitely better than just indoor lights, getting some sunlight in your eyeballs. I figured, why do I speak now during work time? Well, I figured I'm just in the chat during work time anyway. And I thought it would make it, a little bit more cozy. You think you can make a raid? Did I leave that as an option? I don't know how to, what I should make as rewards for those loyalty points. Well, we'll see what happens. Just sort of play it by ear. Yeah, I may not know what I'm getting into with the loyalty points and reward system. We'll see. Okay. cool. Alrighty. Yes? How are you feeling? Flaffy is sitting on the floor. I think sometimes having that more stiff, flat surface helps her back sometimes. She tends to go back and forth between the squishy beds that I have for her and just laying on the floor. So I think maybe I need to find something that's in between for her old bones. Okay, so what should we watch? I know that I thought of something the other day that we should watch, and I really need to write these things down when I think of them, because then I just run into this kind of a problem where I have no idea what it was I thought of. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure that I would be able to... that a Turkish video would not work well on this stream, unless it has subtitles. Let's see. Okay, let's see. What should we eat? Or not eat. I said eat because there's so many videos on here about food. Alrighty. Let's do... Have we watched the overpopulation video on stream yet? I don't think so. Ooh, I have been kind of wanting to watch this one. Because it is an interesting concept, like everything that has happened before humans started writing things down is called, prehistory, or before history. So it's an interesting concept, that time becoming history, and it's not that beforehand.
Imagine someone coming into your kitchen and taking a few tools, a pan, and your garbage. Then they bury everything in the woods. 12,000 years later, an archaeologist is trying to figure out who you were, what was important to you, what video games you played, what you believed in, and what informed your decisions. because you happened to live during a remarkable time in human history. The planetary revolution, when humanity transitioned, becoming a multi-planetary species.
I don't know about that.
Our numbers would explode by orders of magnitude.
That's true.
Our technology and standard of living would improve to levels previously thought impossible, and our self-conception would change forever. And all the future archaeologist has to learn about is just junk in the woods. While we can only hope that this will be someone's problem in 12,000 years, we have the same problem today. We're trying to reconstruct a revolution.
Yeah, I do hope that that is a problem that we have way down the line, that because where we're headed with climate change poses a real problem. So hopefully there is someone way down the line that will be there to look at everything we've left behind.
That took place 12,000 years ago. Today, only shadows remain of the people who experienced our distant past as their present. What remains from our past? We can look at our present in crispy 4K in color and sound. 3 generations ago, the world was just black and white. One more generation and we see the world through blurred photographs. Further back, paintings and texts become our main way of experiencing the past. A mere 20 generations before us today, every written word had to be copied by hand, and reports became more scarce and less reliable. The first historian lived a mere 100 generations ago. Before him, there are only epics and legends, and dead kings bragging on pieces of stone. 250 generations ago, there are only fragments left in the ground and images stripped of their original meaning. Eventually, humanity becomes basically invisible. Still, we do know some things about our ancestors. Let's try to tell their story and what it means for us today.
Ooh.
The greatest transition in human history. For some 2 million years, or roughly 80,000 generations, the life of our ancestors was basically the same. It was around 20,000 years, or 800 generations ago, that the behaviorally modern humans began a process that would change our lifestyle forever. At first, gradually, for some of us. Then faster, for more of us. And then, suddenly, for almost all of us. Back then, there were about 1 million modern humans on Earth. Most other human species had died out, probably with a little help from us. Our ancestors' biology had given them the necessary tools. A general intelligence to understand things, a social intelligence to understand each other, and language to express abstract ideas and create new concepts. These were people just like you. They suffered and experienced joy, were bored, cried, and laughed. They lived in communities of a few dozen people. They controlled fire and had tools made from wood, stone, and bone, told stories, mourned their dead, and created art. They traded with other tribes, from obsidian to shellfish. Some hunted big game and were very mobile, others relied more on plants they collected, and others mostly stayed in one area with an abundance of seafood. This was the common state of humanity for most of our history, until a slow transition, step by step, turned into a revolution. Step by step. The first solid evidence for this stems from the Jordan Valley, where our ancestors collected wild wheat more than 20,000 years ago. They noticed that seeds in the ground made more plants the next year. If they put good ones in one place, the next year they had more of the good ones. This was a great supplement to hunting and gathering. You
can come here?
Plant some crops, return next year, build a temporary settlement, and have a secure food supply. Our ancestors used these bonus crops to bake the first bread and brew the first beer. With every generation, they gathered deeper knowledge about the plants and animals around them and how to manipulate them to their advantage. But there was a lot to learn. Very slowly, from generation to generation, pockets of knowledge expanded and were passed along to be expanded again. This early agriculture started to drastically reduce the space our ancestors needed to feed one individual. which made it possible to stay in one place longer. Around 12,000 years ago, these little pieces of progress had reached a critical mass. Most of the calories we consume today stem from about 15 different founder crops that humans began to domesticate in earnest in the next few thousand years. What we call the agricultural revolution was not a thing that began suddenly one day. It was a slow process driven by small groups over many generations. Eventually, gradual change gave rise to a new era. The human era. During the next few thousand years, progress would speed up and turn hunter-gatherers into farmers who lived in villages, towns, and then cities. When farmers moved into new areas, they replaced the nomadic tribes or turned them into farmers too. This was neither easy nor painless. In the early days, people had a diverse diet made up of up to 250 different plants and animals. For some of the groups transitioning to agriculture, the variation in their diets declined drastically, and some even seemed to have been undernourished. And living close together and with animals created a breeding ground for disease. Virtually every infectious disease caused by microorganisms that have adapted to humans arose in the last 10,000 years. Cholera, smallpox, measles, influenza, chickenpox, and malaria. Mortality, especially among children, rose drastically. Still, our numbers grew because living in the same place enabled women to bear far more children than before, and for a farmer, more kids mean more hands to work the fields. Even with more people dying younger, villages and towns grew. The number of humans on Earth exploded. About 100 generations after the beginning of the human era, there were already 4 million of us. This increased the need for food and
only 4 million in the entire world?
Reducing calories, solidifying our new lifestyle. Going back to hunting and gathering would have just meant death by starvation for most. One question remains unanswered. Why? Why would people exchange the freedom of living off nature with a huge variety in food for the grind of agriculture and often more limited diets? Nobody knows.
Stability.
Climate change seems to have made the transition possible, and some scientists argue that it was caused by external factors like undernourishment or overpopulation, both highly contested. Today, the most widely accepted idea is that it was a deliberate choice made by countless communities around the globe. Maybe it's also connected with what makes us human, the ability to come together, develop shared identities, and exchange stories and knowledge. Some archaeologists think that groups of hunter-gatherers traveled long and far to celebrate, to hold feasts and rituals. They would have used these occasions to talk about their version of innovation, better hunting and tool-making techniques, how to catch and breed animals, and which plants could be collected and multiplied. Maybe they even exchanged seeds. It's not unlikely that these gatherings were the catalyst that spread the knowledge of agriculture through the many isolated groups of humanity, ultimately ending a lifestyle that was common to our species for thousands of generations. So by being able to come together, celebrate, share, and learn from one another, these humans might have taken the steps that led to our modern world, and we have much to be grateful for. We are still the same humans today, even if it often doesn't feel that way. Maybe it's time to come together to share what we know and celebrate our existence once again, to begin another peaceful transition. Maybe the planetary revolution that will change
peaceful
once more. So, hopefully, in another...
Change is never peaceful. Change is very inconvenient.
12,000 years, our descendants will look back on us today with gratitude for the amazing world they are able to inhabit. To celebrate the achievements of our ancestors in the last
Unlikely.
12,000 years and to look with hope towards the next 12,000, we present you with the 5th Human Era calendar for the year 12,021. This time, it's all about the journey of humanity. Beginning tens of thousands of years ago, leading into the revolution of agriculture, to ancient high civilizations, and the beginning of modern times, culminating in a vision for our future. You can get the limited edition now until we sell out, and then never again. As always, the calendar features 12 illustrated pages printed on high-quality paper in Europe and the US.
So wait.
And this
No.
thousands of years ago.
So, okay, I guess maybe since all of these say year 2021, maybe it does change, but if this is what happens in the year 2021, was there another apocalypse that's going to happen sometime between now and then? Suspicious. Okay. Miss you? Yes, of course. I've missed you. I've missed streaming and hanging out with you guys. Trying to find new things to be able to do while I'm on stream now that I don't have to study as much. I feel like I'm pretty successful in that one. That way, I've still been finding some things to do on stream. Now, how do you say your username? Is it like Aqualu? I don't want to, completely butcher it. But I probably did. Let's be honest. Happy 2022. Yeah, did anyone have any exciting New Year's, not plans because it's already happened, but did you guys do anything exciting for New Year's? Whoa. Oh, Lord. You okay? Yeah, I figured it'd be, since I'm in the chat all the time during work time anyway, I figured this would be easier and more cozy. That is true. It is pretty much just an extension of 2020. Would you just try it? Just try it. Come here. See? Yeah. Yeah. You haven't eaten in 2 days? Well, did you drink anything with calories or? No. I feel like she's probably weirded out because I'm just, in her mind, talking to nobody, but she gets confused every time I talk into the microphone. Let's see. Oh yeah. How have you been? Is it like roughly 11:30 in India? Do I use Streamlabs or OBS? I still use Streamlabs just because it's what I started with and the user interface is really nice. And I tried going over to OBS, but it seemed like way too much work now that I've got everything set up already in Streamlabs. Hello! How have you been? Long time no see. Oh, they messed up your schedule? That doesn't indicate good things, or I guess just organization. Not necessarily bad things, but you know what I mean. Did they get it sorted all out now? Oh yeah, there is. Yeah, Preacher made me a mod in his chat, so it just made sense to make him a mod here too. Just made sense. Yeah, the only other moderators I have for my stream are bots. Just Nightbot and Streamlabs. And they're not very talkative. Winning people's hearts? Definitely. For sure. Oh, that command works? Good. Good, good, good. In 10 days it'll be a month. Already? I guess that makes sense. But it doesn't feel like it's been that long. All right, you two, no fighting. All right, break time again.
Imagine someone coming.
No, shush. Okay, which one do we want to watch? For this break. don't think I've seen this one yet.
We don't even notice. The war is fought by the single deadliest entity on our planet, the bacteriophage, or phage for short. A phage is a virus, not quite alive, not quite dead. Also, they look as if someone made them up. Their head is an icosahedron, a sort of dice with 20 faces and 30 edges. It contains the genetic material of the virus and often sits on a long tail that has leg-like fibers. There are more phages on Earth than every other organism combined, including bacteria.
That makes sense.
They are probably everywhere living things exist.
Just bacteriophages?
In your hands, in your intestines, and your eyelids right now. Which might make you nervous since phages are responsible for the majority of deaths on Earth. But you're lucky. While they do commit genocide for
How
breakfast,
is that
they
possible?
only kill bacteria.
Oh,
Up to
right.
40% of
Not
all
human
bacteria
deaths.
in the oceans are killed by them every single day. But phages also have major flaws. Like any other virus, phages need a host to survive and reproduce. They're not much more than genetic material in a hull, and they specialize. Usually, a phage has chosen one specific bacteria and maybe some of its very close relatives. These are its prey. Imagine a phage as like a cruise missile that only hunts and kills members of one very unlucky family. When a phage finds its victim, it connects its tail fibers with receptors and uses a sort of syringe to puncture the surface. In a weird motion, the phage squeezes its tail and injects its genetic information.
Does it really?
The bacteria is taken over. It's now forced to manufacture all the parts of new phages. They only stop when the bacteria is filled up with brand new phages. In the
I
final
didn't think
step,
that
they produce
it made those
endolysin,
weird kind of
an
motions.
enzyme that punches a hole in the bacteria. The pressure is so high that the bacteria sort of vomits out all of its insides and dies. New phages are released and
Just
begin the
explodes and dies.
In the last few years, bacteriophages have enjoyed the attention of the second deadliest beings on Earth, humans. Recently, we've started looking into injecting millions of them into our bodies because we're sort of getting desperate. We screwed up. In the
What?
past, a single cut or a sip from the wrong puddle could kill you. Bacteria were our phages, tiny monsters that hunted us mercilessly. But then, about 100 years ago, we found a solution in nature. By accident, we found fungi that produced a compound that killed bacteria, antibiotics. Suddenly, we had a powerful superweapon. Antibiotics were so effective that we stopped thinking of bacteria as monsters. Only the old and weakest among us were killed by them. We used antibiotics more and more for less and less serious causes. We lost respect for the monsters and the weapon. But bacteria are living things that evolve, and one by one, they started to become immune against our weapons. This continued until we had created what are called superbugs, bacteria immune to almost everything we have. This immunity is spreading across the world as we speak. By 2050, superbugs could kill more humans a year than cancer. The days when a cut or
That
bladder
soon?
infection or a cough could kill you or your loved ones are coming back. In the US
That's just
alone,
30
more than
years from now.
22,000 people die from resistant bacteria each year. But it turns out that phages, our tiny killer virus robots, could save us. We can inject them into our bodies to help cure infections.
Oh, that
Hold on. How can injecting millions of
that will never go over well. At least in America. Looking at how people respond to just vaccines, the idea of injecting real viruses into people, oh my God. People would absolutely lose their freaking minds.
viruses into an infection be a good idea? Phages are very, very specialized killers of bacteria. So specialized, in fact, that humans are completely immune to them. We are too different. We encounter billions of phages every day, and we just politely ignore each other. Antibiotics are like carpet bombing, killing everything, even the good bacteria in our intestines that we don't want to harm. Phages are like guided missiles that only attack what they're supposed to. Wait a minute, if we use phages to kill bacteria, won't bacteria develop ways of defending themselves? Well,
Yep.
it's more complex than that. Phages evolve too. There has been an arms race between them and bacteria for billions of years, and so far they're doing great. This makes phages smart weapons that are constantly getting better at killing.
Well, not necessarily, because you still have the same phage as like a product that's being sold. If it becomes more specialized to attack a different kind of bacteria in someone's body, that phage isn't going to be sold or marketed necessarily to everyone else. So it'll be faster than finding new drugs, new antibiotics to kill specific bacteria, but it won't be as fast as the bacteria will evolve themselves. It'll always be a little bit behind.
But even if bacteria were to become immune against our phage, we still might be able to win. It turns out that in order to become resistant to even just a few species of phages, bacteria have to give up their resistance to antibiotics. We might be able to trap them in a catch-22. This has already been successfully tested with a patient who had no other hope left. The bacteria Pseudomonas aeruginosa, one of the most feared bacteria, infected the man's chest cavity. They are naturally resistant to most antibiotics and can even survive in alcoholic hand gel. After years of suffering, a few thousand...
And that's why that species is so common and such a problem in hospitals, because usually hospitals will disinfect things, at least, high use, something that's not going to directly be touching like the inside of a patient, like countertops or whatever. A lot of the time they get disinfected with alcohol or when nurses put hand sanitizer on. So a bacteria that can survive that is a really big problem.
Phages were directly inserted into his chest cavity together with antibiotics the bacteria were immune to. After a few weeks, the infections had completely disappeared. Unfortunately, this treatment is still experimental, and pharma companies are still reluctant to invest the necessary billions in a treatment that has no official approval yet. But things are finally changing. In 2016, the largest phage clinical trial to date began, and phages are getting more and more attention. And we better get used to it, because the era in which antibiotics have been our superweapon is drawing to a close.
Is that why? Because I took a lab in school called phage genomics? Or it was phage discovery, where we would go out into, the environment and try and grab some samples of soil and then get a bacteria phage isolated on a petri dish. And then when another group coded its DNA, it would get sent to apparently like a database for a big project. And I'm starting to think that this whole drug and this sort of system might have something to do with what that class was trying to do. So they're basically just having college students do research and find new phages, and then the kids would have to pay to be able to do that. So it's kind of a smart system. The drugs wouldn't be The drugs probably are not in manufacture yet. Not until they get like a really, really good phage. So that's probably why they have so many classes all over universities where people are just going out into the environment, finding phages, and then all sending it into this big database. It's kind of a brilliant idea, but I don't know how I feel about it.
It might be a weird concept, but injecting the deadliest being on planet Earth directly into our bodies could save millions of lives. This video was made possible by a grant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Well, the information seems good. So I guess I don't have any reason to doubt that. I don't know. It's always very tricky trying to manage sponsors, especially when they want very specific messages to go out. Like, the Gateses may really want to invest in that kind of a drug. So maybe that's why they're so excited about putting out that kind of information. But I have to believe that it is as promising as the video says it is. I don't have to, but I choose to. Because it's cool, and I like it. Have I seen the Bill Gates documentary on Netflix? I have not. How is it? I just know that sometimes, well, having that much money can sometimes put you a little out of touch. Like, for instance, I saw this recently. Oh, I just want to say I'm not one of those people that believes in like the conspiracy theories about... I know Bill Gates is involved somehow, but that's... all that is absolute gibberish.
Okay. All right. This will be interesting. All right. If you can guess 3 out of the 5 products within $1 of each one, the audience will get something. Okay. If you get all of them, we'll pay off your children's student loans.
No danger there.
No. All right, which is going to be our first model. And here we go. There is rice-a-roni right there. The San Francisco treat, of course. How much do you think?
I don't remember these prices. I want to say like $1.75.
$5.
Okay, let's...
The audience didn't like that.
Let's see. Oh, it's $1. Look, what a bargain.
I'll take 5.
I know.
Rice-a-roni is cheap as fuck.
All right. Ooh,
Okay.
Tide Pods. You've been hearing a lot about those lately. What do you think?
Oh yeah, this was 2018. $4 for that?
Let's go with 10. $10.
Like 15.
$19.97. It's expensive to do laundry.
I'll take a half.
It's very costly. Okay, now, very important.
This is my best chance.
Really?
This one, yeah.
Because you floss?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I floss as well. It's very important to keep your gums in good health. All right. Floss. How much would you say that floss
I would
is?
say $4.
Look at you. $3.78. That's one. All right.
All right, we got one.
You need to get both of these within $1 so that they get
That's gonna
something.
be
If
hard.
not, you get to run to your car. Totino's Pizza Rolls. One bag of Totina Pizza Rolls.
Want to say
Have some tonight.
$10?
Hot. From the oven.
I'll go with 22. No, 15. 15.
Lower.
8.
All right, let's try it. $8. $8.99. That's two in a row. All right.
Of course, this is stuff that
This is TGI Fridays frozen spinach and artichoke.
I normally don't buy either, but wow, he's very off with a lot of these.
8 ounces. 8 ounces.
It's branded. You know, you guys think less than $10?
Yes. Yes, we do.
It's artichoke
It is
dip.
less.
Like 7?
Who said what? He's saying 5. Somebody's 5 or 6. I would go with the maybe lower than 5.
Wow. Okay, we'll go with 4.
Yeah, go with 4. Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
I want to thank Bill. Thank you so much for being here. It's been a pleasure seeing you. And you probably want to...
Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So yeah, he has some good ideas, but there's always the conflict of interest when it comes to capitalism and really doing anything really good for the environment. Because the economy always depends on, even if it's slow, but it just has to be constant growth. And that's not necessarily something that, at this point, the environment can handle from us. So, there's a lot more nuance to it, but of all the, ultra wealthy, he makes some of the best moves, but, Okay. Yes? Okay, let's get some stuff done. So it is break time again. And back to trying to find something to watch during our break. This one looks interesting.
The desire to be free from the limits of the human experience is as old as our first stories. We exist in an endless universe, only bound by the laws of physics, and yet our consciousness is trapped in mortal machines made of meat. With the breathtaking explosion of innovation and progress, for the first time, the concept of leaving our flesh piles behind and uploading our mind.
Oh, and I'm thinking about making this the last break and calling it after that, because I have a doctor's appointment at like 8:30 tomorrow. I have to be in the city by 8:30. Not looking forward to it. So it's about 12:30 now. So after this one, I think I'm going to call it and head to bed.
Minds into a digital utopia seems possible, even like the logical next step on our evolutionary ladder. Mind uploading and digital immortality are some of the core themes of the game Cyberpunk 2077. It plays in a grim dystopian future where humanity has progressed far beyond today's technology and explores what this could mean for humanity. About a year ago, CD Projekt Red asked us if we would like to make a video about some of these ideas, and we were immediately on board. So, let's explore this topic together. Is it possible to upload your mind into a computer? Well, it's complicated.
Yeah. Prediction? No.
Upload what exactly? Mind is one of those words that are really hard to define. It's thought to be the collective abilities of your consciousness and intelligence, the thing that lets you imagine, recognize, and dream. Mind uploading is the hypothetical concept of making a copy of this inner world and transferring it into a computer to run a simulation of your consciousness. But even defining the premise gets really hard, really fast.
I don't think I would either.
The possibility of mind uploading is based on 3 assumptions. Assumption 1, your mind is in your brain's structure, arrangement, and biochemistry.
That's true.
The idea that everything about the mind can be found in the brain is called physicalism, and it keeps our discussion within the domain of natural law. Assumption 2, at some point, we will understand the brain well enough and possess the technology to simulate all of its aspects to make a digital mind copy. Assumption 3, computer software can host your mind, which means the mind is computable. There is no physical
Thanks so much for
property in
the
brain,
follow.
including consciousness, that cannot be
Welcome.
simulated accurately, even if it requires a lot of code. All of these assumptions have been proposed and challenged by scientists and philosophers, and they remain the subject of passionate debate. With so many
I
fundamental
imagine.
questions still unanswered, it's hard to discuss the topic without annoying someone. Whatever your position, every discussion of mind upload has to begin with the brain.
I imagine it's hard to talk about this without making some nerd very upset.
The brain in a nutshell. The brain is the most complex biological structure known and deserves its own entire video, so let's just take a brief look at it.
Isn't that kind of interesting? The only thing that the brain the most complex thing that the brain can think of is itself. But it also doesn't understand itself. Yeah. It just seems like a bit of an ego trip.
Around 100 billion neurons are communicating via 1 million billion connections that are sending signals up to 1,000 times each second, which is 1 quadrillion events every second of your waking life.
Yeah.
It's not just neurons, there are billions of supporting and immune cells of various types performing different jobs.
Right.
On a macro level, the brain can be divided.
That's right. You'd have to consider, what's it called? Your microflora, because apparently that has a lot to do with how you interpret what's going on with your body, because apparently they can send chemical signals that the brain can understand, which is a wild concept. So that would be part of a person's experience, but you wouldn't really be able to upload that. What else? Yeah, that's what I thought of.
In 2 sections with different roles, from breathing and heart rate to coordinating movement and involuntary reflexes. The most developed parts, the neocortex, or the outermost layer of the brain, hold memories, our ability to plan, think and imagine, hope and dream. Where exactly the you part of the brain is situated is not entirely clear. We know that areas like the precuneus cortex have the greatest influence on our consciousness, but also that several areas can network together to share tasks none of them can do alone. The brain's building blocks are not exactly simple either. Neurons are not just wires, they alter and process information. Synapses, where signals are handed over from one neuron to the next, contain receptors for hundreds of chemical signals, opening them up to outside influence. We have a basic understanding of how these work, and we can accurately predict their behavior at small scales, but there's a lot more to the brain than just nerve signals. Hormones play a huge role, like serotonin, which affects our mood, or histamine, which helps us learn.
Yes, which is like a huge... which anybody who's had issues with mental health know that's a huge part of your experience as a human, is whether or not you have enough, big one is whether or not you have enough serotonin, to be quite honest. So what if you don't have that? I feel like your experience as a bot would be very different.
The brain is influenced by our other parts too,
And how would... Because there's a bunch of parts of your brain that are dedicated to interacting with the physical world, like, touch, sight, taste, spatial awareness. How would those degrade? You have to imagine that those things would, well, in a normal human brain, if you didn't have access to that, it would definitely degrade because you're not using it all the time. But how would that experience be if you never used it as a bot, but it also would never degrade because you're now a computer? Yes. Hello.
From heart nerves to gut bacteria. What seemed like a very complicated system to begin with gets even more complicated the more we learn about it. To get this wildly interconnected mess of cells and meat and chemicals into a computer, we need a model that we can simulate in our digital world. Some sort of scan. Unfortunately, our scanning technology, like fMRI machines, is not nearly good enough to attempt such a thing. But there is a different method that seems very promising. Cutting a brain into tiny slices and scanning them with a high-resolution electron microscope to create an accurate map of all the cells and connections. In 2019,
that makes sense.
Scientists successfully mapped a cubic millimeter of mouse bone, roughly the size of a big grain of sand. It contained 100,000 neurons with a billion synapses.
I mean, that's really impressive.
And 4 kilometers of nerve fibers.
4 kilometers.
This brain was cut into 25,000 slices. 5 electron microscopes ran continuously for 5 months, collecting more than 100 million images. It took 3 months
Holy
to assemble
fuck.
the images into a 3D model. The completed dataset fills up 2 million gigabytes of cloud storage. To scan a whole human brain, we would have to repeat this effort 1 million times, which is much easier said than done. Even worse, to
Yeah, for
correctly
multiple
simulate the
humans?
brain, we might even have to map out much smaller building blocks to include the billions of underlying proteins or even individual molecules that cause all the behaviors we see at the cellular level, which might produce more data than the capacity of all data storage on Earth. Brain water to consciousness wine. While all of these issues are annoying, the real
What does
question
that
is
mean?
how we turn the static blueprint of the brain into an active thing. Even if we have a scan, down to the level of synapses, we need laws and rules that animate the wiring diagram. To endow this static structure with life, update it with the various laws of chemical binding, of electrodynamics, to animate the simulation. So it becomes a dynamic active thing like a brain that exists from 1 microsecond to the next, that can evolve in time, think, see, and act.
Wait,
The reality is that we just don't exist.
say that again?
Electrodynamics to animate the simulation. So it becomes a dynamic active thing like a brain that exists from 1 microsecond to the next, that can evolve in time, think, see, and act. The reality is that we just don't know if this is possible to achieve. If our technology can give rise to real minds. It all hinges on the nature of the problem. Are the brain and mind just complicated and a lot of work to figure out? Or are they complex in a way that we can't solve? In the worst case, consciousness is more than the sum of the parts of the brain in a way that we don't realize yet. Complex in a way that we can't solve by getting better scans. Just having a list of the ingredients might not be enough to get a good consciousness cake. Right now, we have a great starting point with tangible scientific results and an end goal, but the road to true simulation is unclear and requires a lot of innovation and research. Humans have historically been horrible at predicting the pace of progress. In the best case, it's just a matter of doing the work and finding the right solutions. It might not be necessary to simulate every last cell down to the last atom. Instead, it may be possible to simplify elements into probabilistic models that could match the behavior of the brain using a more manageable number of simpler systems. So we really
Probably
don't
not.
know if we will ever understand our brain and consciousness well enough to upload human minds. But the science is real and worth pursuing. At the very least, we will just learn a lot about ourselves and develop a bunch of new technologies. If we succeed, this might put mind uploading well within the capabilities of our rapidly progressing computer technology. The consequences for humanity and our future in this universe are vast, creepy, and amazing. The copy. Successful mind uploading is functional immortality. Unless damaged or deleted, you will continue to exist as long as a copy is stored somewhere. Of course, if the scan is corrupted in any of a myriad of ways, your mind might get corrupted too. You might be in an eternity of pain or paranoia, or having an endless psychotic breakdown. The question if this digital mind is you opens another whole can of worms. For now, we'll just assume that your digital mind at least feels like it's you.
Well, wouldn't that mean if you... Yeah, that brings it into question, like the whole... all your cells regenerate and... essentially, like every... I can't remember how many years it is. It's like... I want to say like a decade or something. That like you are a completely different set of cells. So... is that you? Or... what is that?
How would mind uploading change your outlook on life? Will you
Yes.
feel safer knowing that death is not necessarily the end? Or would you try to be super safe to avoid dying before your mind is uploaded? If scanning technology does become advanced enough, your biological and digital versions could coexist. You could help each other out by making your biological lifespan more enjoyable and the future of the copy more secure. Whatever happens, your mind copy will begin a completely new life once it opens their digital eyes for the first time. Having a functional body is actually quite nice, and you're pretty used to it. Food, love, pain and exhaustion, all of these things are parts of us that we must live with. But in the end,
it's part of the experience.
Neurons firing in your brain. So while you could decide to live in a simulated body, it might be optional for a digital mind. Falling in love might lose meaning if you can have it at the press of a button. Instead, you might end up searching for new, extraordinary experiences. Walk on the surface of the sun. Speed up time to skip past a few boring months. Experience a simulation of the past. Your perspectives and priorities will change as you continue to exist in this liberated form. The longer digital minds exist, eventually they will likely gain greater knowledge of themselves and an ability to change their own contents. This can be as simple as deleting a memory that bugs you. You might change.
The human brain does that already, really. The human brain is really, really weird. It has so many different tricks that you don't even realize that it's doing all the time.
Personality, like grudges, addictions, or laziness. Without the constraints of biology, your abilities might move up as technology progresses, while your priorities or goals might become more and more foreign to your original.
Okay. But what's the point? In my mind, you as your corporeal self are never going to experience that reality. You're still, going to pass away and die. So this wouldn't really even be for you because you're never going to experience it. So really the only reason why you would ever do this is I feel like for loved ones. So that after you pass away, they have like a pseudo you to hang out with and interact with, so it sort of fills that hole. But that gets into some really strange territory.
Original brain, if it's still alive. Waking up to the true potential of digital immortality will be gradual. You can start projects that would take more than a lifetime to complete. Scientists could accumulate an incredible amount of knowledge, leading to discoveries that could revolutionize the world. Adventurers could upload themselves onto small spaceships and embark on journeys to the stars, just putting themselves on pause for thousands of years at a time. Although it's unlikely that every digital mind will work for the benefit of humanity, since our current meat versions don't do that either.
True.
Some will seek power and influence and will have a literal eternity of trying to create empires. Others will begin hoarding as many resources for themselves as possible as they compete with other minds trying to do the same. The longer they live, the less sympathy they may feel for simple meat beings. Or imagine immortal cult leaders who propagate lies and invent religions, fine-tuning and perfecting their dogma over hundreds of years. Or perhaps
that happens now.
That. Maybe our minds are not made for immortality, and digital minds will just become rigid and unproductive and retire after a very long life, having experienced everything they could ever want to. It's hard to predict how much good or bad a self-improving mind could do with hundreds or thousands of years of free time. While Mind Upload with all its
blah blah blah. Our sponsor is Cyberpunk. Yeah. That's what it looks like. So you'd have all this time to learn all these different things and progress science. But then you'd have to consider, would we progress socially either? Because really, really a big, how you progress socially is, you know, newer generations learn more progressive ideas, and then past generations pass away. So the collective whole has new social understandings and awareness of each other. But if you still have the same individual that can live, or the same couple of individuals that can live forever, would social progress happen or not? Either way, I didn't think that that would be as interesting as I found it. That was definitely a lot of fun. I liked that video very much. Okay. So, okay, yeah, I think I'm going to, ooh, it's 1 a.m. This song is very noisy. Okay. So yeah, I think I'm going to call it there. Get into bed so that I can be places at 8:30 in the morning tomorrow. Ugh, I'm really not looking forward to that. Okay. Now, where? All right, here we go. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, the kitty cat is she still behind me? Yes, she is. She's so cute. Her name is Flaffy. She is named after the Pokemon. We got her forever ago. Hello, welcome. We got her forever ago, back when me and my little brother were a little young, and so we named our cats after Pokemon. It's this year. It's gonna be like in a very short, but I think this month she turns 19. Yeah, it makes no sense. Yeah, Flaffy was a electric sheep Pokemon. I don't know why my brother chose that one, but it works now. She's sort of grown to embody it, I suppose. Alrighty. So yeah, daybreak. You joined us right as I am going to trying to wind down because I have to be places early in the morning tomorrow. Ugh. Let's see. Is there anyone online to raid? following list. Not really. Okay, well. Yeah, you have a good night too. Okay. So, I'm just gonna end it. Alright, you guys. Thanks for stopping by. And I will see you. I'm tending to stream like every other day, which I feel like is a good frequency, I think. But yeah, so I will see you guys next time I stream. Bye.